We're now live.
Hello world.
That's right.
You are now on YouTube.
Everyone look pretty.
God.
Okay, so
I gotta turn my
how's
camera off.
0.6 shaping up here?
That is a good question.
What's your feel on it, Stuart?
I need more time in my life. Okay, well, I haven't checked recently. Well, I have the Conda builds working. So, from a technical point of view, I'm relatively happy with building the release. Shouldn't hopefully take too long.
Good, good.
Travis is working again. Although if I update the Conda builds, it will break again. But I know how to fix it now. We still have some open issues.
Yeah, how about Stuart? Let's go ahead and first talk about your two PRs here. First, this intermittent bug.
Yes.
And I've only glanced at it, but I don't understand it.
So this has been bugging me for a while, which is if you specified axes to plot by doing axes equals something, it would break this. Matplotlib would throw its toys out of the pram at that plt.sci command. It took me far too long to realise that the reason for this was that if you didn't make that axes object in a way that makes pyplot have it as its current axes object, the SCI command doesn't work because SCI only works on the current axes. So if there isn't a current axes or the image object is on a different axis to the current axis, it threw its toys out the pram. So the simplest solution I could think of was just force it to be the current axis always, and then the SCI command will always work.
Okay. Sure, why not? That makes sense.
So this is a bug in peak only, right? Or
no, in plot.
But isn't that SCI command just to be able to do a color bar?
What that does is it makes plt.colorbar work.
Yeah.
So the problem is it's the overlap between doing things through the pyplot interface and not through the pyplot interface. So if you created the axes outside of pyplot and then called plt.sci, pyplot isn't configured with the current state of your plot properly. I think this is right anyway. This is like my understanding of it.
Well, I'm merging it.
Putting that one line in fixed my bug, so I need to backport that.
Yeah. Okay. And then your other one is the plot function one.
Yes.
Jack, you have some issues with that?
I think I sorted them all out now. I think.
Is Jack frozen? Jack. Damn it.
Hello, sorry.
Oh, there he is.
Anyone on YouTube wanting to see me eat a cracker? So +1.
You get millions of hits on that, Jack. Scottish man eats cracker.
Jack, are you happy with the plot function one now?
+1, yes. Yep. As long as you changed all the map to SMAP or something else. That was the last thing.
I went with the SunPy map in the end.
Yep, that sounds fine.
Okay. And it's good for me.
Woo!
Although, the instant that I did that, I just realized I forgot to check, and no, there's no changelog entry on that one.
Ooh,
Damn it!
bad, Stuart.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll fix that. What was the name of that?
So the only thing that we have nothing officially milestone for 0.6 now, and the two things I'm sure Steve wants to get in are his two PRs.
Well, I'm willing to give up on the light curve one for now because this is getting a little too long.
It's okay.
So yeah. So just the map one. I would like, and I think it's pretty, except I sort of have a feeling people haven't really looked at it enough. Let's see, are there any kind of new things that I want to bring up that I changed recently? Let me look at my commits.
What number is that, Stephen?
It's
1432.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely more people need to look at this.
This is where you've coloured everything in. Sad.
That's right. As opposed to the very scientific way of just clipping all the bright stuff. I also, well, this is one thing I don't think we talked about last time, but I updated the docs strings for each of the maps, like, a lot. So much so that I added it as a new thing in the changelog. Because I felt like it deserved it.
Such pull requests.
So if you'll see now in each of the doc strings for each of the map objects, instead of just saying like, oh, this is the map object for, EIT, now it has a little short description of the instrument, short description of the mission. If the mission is over, then it tells you when it ended, and then a huge list of references. So usually the mission page, then the instrument page. If I could find it, the hits header reference, and if I could find it, a user guide for both the mission and the instrument. And sometimes I'll add one thing that like you need to look up all the time, like for example, XRT. You almost always want to look up the calibration tables. So that is throughout now, and I feel like this is something we should do everywhere, because this is actually one way that we can really provide, well, to be cynical about it, it's one way that we can separate ourselves from IDL, and to be honest about it, it's one way that it's a major strength of Python, is that documentation is there, and so if you have a map of a certain thing, it's really nice to be able to, get to more stuff about it right there. You don't have to go out and Googling, trying to find things.
What did you write for stereo? Given the state of stereo, which one is it? A? Is that the one that's... Or is it B? I forget which one
B
is.
is the one with problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not address that in the comments.
Okay.
In the
It's just when you said that the whether the mission is over or not. That one is kind of in.
Yeah, I've only written those down for things that are
So
officially
Schrodinger mission.
right, like things that are officially over. Like Trace is
Okay.
officially over, and EIT is officially over. So those are the ones that actually have that written in. None of the others.
So this documentation that you put in about each mission, is this in the sources?
Yeah.
This is in the, say for example, iris.py in the sources directory, or is there elsewhere you're talking about? I'm just looking at this.
It's in the map
No.
headers. The instrument map docstring. So currently the instrument, we have a few things, but not very much code. And that's something that we probably should discuss at some point, what belongs in the instrument folder and what belongs elsewhere. But basically, this is like a bunch of content. We can move it around somewhere else if we really want to, but it belongs somewhere.
You have broken this documentation build so hard. So many warnings.
It builds on my computer. I generally
really? Does it build with no warnings?
I ignore Sphinx warnings.
You do not ignore
They're like hieroglyphics. I'm imagining sometime in the future someone will interpret them, but it'll take probably decades of scholarship to do that. Yeah, there's a few things. I can ask more.
While I'm at getting picky about Sphinx, why did you do automod API for... Hang on a second. I'm going to have to check myself before I criticize what you're doing, because I might be wrong. Yes, why did you automod API all of these sources separately inside map instra?
Yeah, because when I did it with it didn't work, so I had to do it by hand. I have no idea why it didn't work. I didn't want to spend like huge amounts of time to try to figure out the AstroPy.
That's probably why. Okay, I think I know why. It probably didn't work. But anyway, also inside coderef map.rst, why did you use the interlink rather than you've refed it all individually? For the same reason, I assume. Is that the only place you've done that?
What's your question?
Okay, yeah, they're the same. They're the same. I just realised they're the same question. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, if we can get that we can have that done automatically, that would be much better. But
yeah, you've got 15 Sphinx warnings to fix.
They're just warnings.
I need to change the defaults because there's no such thing as just to.
Where do I even see these warnings? Error.
If you run Sphinx build, it shows you the warnings. It does not like all your map instro commands. It doesn't seem to like members. Also,
When I
your
do-
docstring
when
of
I do-
SJI map's wrong.
When I do make HTML, I do not. It says build succeeded, 16 warnings, but it did not tell me what the warnings are.
It should be further out in the output, further up in the output, I think.
I think this is a problem with how we're calling make HTML.
Well, but the other trick is don't use make HTML anymore. In the root directory, do python setup.py build _ sphinx.
I was just following our own documentation.
Wow. That's not right.
Build.
Okay, this is a bit silly. Okay.
Just build documentation one word.
The _ sphinx.
Yeah.
And you build _ sphinx -- help to look at all of the commands.
Here are the warnings. Okay, well, I need to update. So should we just get rid of make HTML then? I mean, why do we even have it around anymore?
Because, I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of point in deleting the deleting the thing. It does theoretically do the same thing.
Well, I haven't run make HTML in a long time, but it never not showed me warnings, so I'm surprised that you can't see them. But that's whether or not we should have that as a separate issue for a separate discussion.
Well, as part of this PR, I did add a README on how to build the documentation.
Yeah, and Stuart commented on it.
And that I should get rid of it.
And that you should put Python build Sphinx.
What's the command to remove it?
There's a flag to build Sphinx. Do -- help to find out what it is. There's also a flag that automatically opens the output in your browser. I think that's --o.
I have to say, I'm not like a big fan of this method because it's really weird that the concept of it's like multiple commands built into one. It's very strange.
Well, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can continue to happily use make HTML if you'd like. I just stopped using it a while ago.
If I do -- help, it just shows me the help on Python. The Python command.
No, setup.py build Sphinx -- help.
But that's what I did.
That should also contain the help for the build Sphinx helper.
Okay, well, I don't see it, but we don't have to debug this during this meeting. Oh, now here's something, yes. Okay.
Okay, Sphinx aside, people that are not Steve on this call need to take a look at this PR, because it makes a whole bunch of changes. Try running it, and also comment on what you think, how you think the images look, and whether we're going to get a lot of backlash for this. Pretty important.
Yes, but remember that everything that you see on the web is not properly scaled to do science. It is just to look nice on the interwebs.
Have you explained that anywhere in
Yeah.
your documentation?
I did not think I needed to make a case for how all the online images are crap, which is partially your fault.
So when you do peak, when you do the peak without the frame or anything, when you do the peak just to get the image, do you change the normalizer?
When you do well, the normalization in the color table is set on initialization of the object.
Yes, but you could override it depending on the flagged peak. My point is, do we want the peak? I can't remember what the keyword argument to peak is, but there's a keyword argument to peak that just draws an image without any axes or anything.
Oh,
Do we want that to return a web prettyified version?
I mean, it's not prettified. It's just wrong.
It is also prettified.
It's prettified in that it brings out all of the quiet sun, which is what most of the disk is, right? It's mostly quiet sun. So, so it basically makes the quiet sun look pretty, which is most of the disk. But then anywhere where you have any kind of brightness, it's completely clipped, and therefore like garbage. So when people are doing any kind of science that involves those areas, right away the first thing they have to do is change color table.
I know.
And figure out how to fix that. And that's a pain in the ass. I don't see why we should not provide a color table that lets them see all of the data. I mean, that's the point of Peak. Peak is to let them see everything as easily as possible.
I'm not arguing with that. My point is the frameless peak command is more for getting a pretty picture, not for science.
Well, Steve and I talked some about the no annotate last week or 2 weeks ago or something. And there is some debate, I guess, about the intent of that. But from my perspective, if we have the no annotate as a keyword, it should give the exact same image as with the annotate. If the point is to produce a prettified image, there should be a separate flag for prettify.
It's not annotate, is it? I didn't think it was annotate.
Yeah, it's annotate equals false.
No, that just doesn't label the axes on plot.
Yeah,
there's another one?
No, there's an argument to peak, is the thing that I'm talking about.
Oh, what's his argument to peak?
Basic plot equals true to peak.
Again, if the intent is to produce something that's like media or something media mode, it should be clear that that's the mode, or that's the setting. Something that's a basic image or something like that, that's still,
the description for basic plot is, if true, the data is plotted by itself at its natural scale, no title, labels, or axes are shown.
Yeah, at a natural scale doesn't mean anything.
I think natural scale is a lie as well, I'd like to point out.
Yeah.
Suggest that we do not mess with the normalization.
So, Stephen, I think you should write somewhere in the documentation what normalizers do. Like, you only need to write it in one place.
Yeah.
Because even the color tables in HelioViewer are just one example, right, of how to scale the data, and the purpose of that is just to show pretty pictures, right?
Yeah.
You load an image into IDL, like it looks like crap to start off with, and then you have to muck around with it to, exclude and masking and whatever, right? But I think it might be worth just like just a small couple of lines saying like the intent is to show all the data, and if you want to change things, then look up matplotlib color normalizer.
Yeah, that's fine.
I need to have a look over the notebook again, but I agree with what you're saying. We should show all the data. Also, don't want it to be like IDL is, where it just does vmin vmax scaling because it's god awful.
Isn't that what you do though? Isn't that what's done, Stephen? Or is there have logarithmic scaling
Got a
for
power
certain
law.
images? Or?
Yeah, a lot of them are power law.
Okay.
Yeah, linear usually doesn't work for very many maps at all. So I don't use logarithmic simply because it doesn't provide enough levers. As in, it provides 0.
This might be somewhere like in the 0.6 documentation. That might be one of the a place to put this and to have some pointers to how to handle the data, like using masked arrays to get rid of excess, to get rid of
bright pixels and such.
bright pixels or negative pixels, things like that. So maybe like in the docs. Because people will look at the images and then say, this looks like crap, SunPy's rubbish. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm most worried about. So what are we going to do to protect ourselves against that kind of reaction?
Yeah, just an explanation is all that's required, really. So
yeah,
and then information about giving the users the power.
Right. Yeah, I can add that to the documentation.
Yes, I'm going to come back to the point that I think it's important that, as much as it's important we show all the data, it's also important that it looks pretty by default.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I was trying to do. The only thing, that's why I was choosing the power law number, such that it looked nice. Some of them I was not using with as well as others. 94 kind of looks like crap regardless.
Does 171 look nice? That's the most important one.
171, I would say looks nice. It looks good. It looks flat compared to what you're used to on the web, though. There's nothing we
looks. Well, okay. What I'd like to hear from is Andy or Dan here.
Yes.
Hello. And what they're feeling about these images.
Well, I need to take a closer look at the whole thing, but I like the concept, and I should point out that a lot of these maps, like we said, you're worried about people looking at them and saying, oh, SunPy is crap, look at these crap maps, but they look crap in IDL too. If you plot an AIA map in IDL, the first thing I do is log it, because otherwise you can't see anything. Right. So
can you?
Right, but there isn't. When you just plot map, then it's, as far as I remember, it's not necessarily instrument-based, right? Or it's object-based, right? So you actually have a separate command. It's not like an attribute of the object.
Yes.
So the two things are actually separate. So here, because it's an attribute, you can actually choose how you want it to be plotted. And so that's kind of why when you do it in IDL, initially it looks crap because you haven't set any keywords to make it log. Am I right?
Right. Well, it doesn't know what to do with it, right? It just
right.
What's the linear scale?
Because it's an attribute of the object, then we can at least give it
an
initial idea.
I think what Dan's saying is that plot map in IDEO doesn't really assume anything because it doesn't have that kind of metadata or knowledge of the context. Whereas here we can. We can have some knowledge that, yes, this data is more on the bottom and needs to be logged and all like that.
I think my initial opinion on the concept that we're talking about is the question we have to ask first is who are we aiming this functionality towards? If we're aiming it towards people who are trying to first and foremost do science, then it's not quite as important that they look pretty. It's important that it truly reflects the data as best as possible.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So that's the question you've got to answer in order to really make. Neither are wrong. Both have pluses and minuses, but they tend to have more pluses than minuses for one group of people, and vice versa. So that's the first question we have to answer.
Sorry, if I could just give my opinion. the one thing I'll get up and say is that at the end of the day, you have a very large potential user base. And you've got to consider the fact that obviously the people who might want prettier images are potentially, a lot of them are not going to necessarily be expert enough to understand why it looks pretty or not. I mean, if nothing else, I'm a student, graduating soon, but I wouldn't necessarily have understood straight away, oh, why isn't this looking particularly visually appealing or equally helpful? Whereas those people who know what they want and specifically want the data are potentially going to be more capable of figuring out what they need to do. And obviously, especially, as has been said, make sure it's in the documentation. But I'd say the smarter people who actually really want to work on the stuff, they are going to be capable of saying, oh, right, well, actually, I need to have it as a linear color map, or I'm not sure on the terminology, but that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I guess my contention would be that the people that don't really know are probably less likely to be, in SunPy. I mean, that's certainly not the audience that we're going after generally, though it is an interesting one to consider. If we do make it super easy, then anyone can do it.
Well, one way of thinking about it as well is that if people just want a couple pretty pictures, then why don't they go to HelioView? Why are they going through the SunPy map object?
Right.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
if the SunPy map object should be for those who either know what they want or who are trying to learn what they want, rather than people who just want a quick, pretty picture. That's kind of what HelioView is all about, not what the object is. That's my
And
feeling.
you can, of course, get HelioView as through SunPy if you really want to, anyway.
Right.
I think we should be aiming more at being scientifically correct over making things that are, like, pretty. I think while some people are going to turn around and go, oh, it looks horrible, I think if we make a point of putting, you can change how it looks by doing XYZ in, like, the guide, the first, like, user guide, the tour thing, the documentation that newbies are going to read first. If we say you can change it, make it look different in that, then, as Dan said, it's for people who are wanting to learn, or rather than who are just. I mean, you're not going to get someone from the Telegraph who wants to put a picture on their website going through the SunPy map object to get their picture. I mean,
that would be cool. Yeah.
So I think Jack's initial suggestion and perhaps Steve's, or close to Steve's initial instinct, might those two things combined might be something close to our best solution.
Steve, could you modify that notebook that's linked from the top to just do a peek on all of the maps on one of everything or something?
You want peak? What?
Well, peak or plot doesn't matter. Show the same normalization, right?
With the same normalization?
No. The
It doesn't matter if you do peak or plot. Just show what the normalization is.
Just print out what the normalization is? Sure.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to see them all, the default values of them all.
Sure.
Okay. So I guess still bring this back around. What's your feel about you and Steve and Stuart about getting this into 0.6?
I mean, we've been kicking 0.6 down the road for a long time.
Yes.
We should probably stop. Because otherwise we could be here forever.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine with me, though. If this could be added to a point release, I'd be very happy.
No. Although saying that, I do kind of want the doc fixes.
Yeah, but Steve likes to do everything in one PR. So.
I mean, well, all right, okay. Let's have a little bit of a think about this. Who is anyone like against this pull request in principle? Is anyone in here who doesn't want to change the normalization?
What I want is more people to look at it.
Obviously it needs more review, but I mean, we've discussed the principle a bit. Is anyone like completely going for veto on this, or is it the concept is generally approved?
I'm certainly not vetoing it.
That's fine by me. Although, Steve, you need to fix the notebook.
Yeah, I just fixed it. I just fixed it.
Okay.
Reload it.
Good work. That's live science right there.
Woo, science. Moreover, woo, GitHub rendering notebooks.
Yeah.
It has not fixed. What notebook is this? What's going on? I'm confused. I refreshed this and it didn't change. Still the notebook linked from the top comment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still errors in it for me too.
I just literally just committed it up, so.
We might take
Well,
it.
that doesn't work. There's a key error.
Right, but that was there before. So.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be.
What up? It hasn't had a commit in 10 days. Wait, what? What am I looking at the right thing?
Have you committed and not pushed?
Yeah, the test plot fixes 0.6 notebook hasn't been updated in 12 days.
Aha.
The whole repo hasn't been updated in 10 days.
We're all waiting here,
guess
Steve.
Yeah.
We want science.
Okay, here it should be up now. Yeah, the one map that is crap is the XRT maps. And to be honest, I'm not sure how to fix those because without doing something that I'm unhappy with, which is messing with some of the data or masking some of the data, because these maps have some particle hits, and so they throw everything off. And I actually went and looked at the code for the XRT code to see whether they do mask their data by getting rid of values that are above a certain place. So I had coded that in, but it turns out that's nowhere near what you need to be. It's way too high. So the only way to get rid of these is to run a despiker code. And you do not want to know what they do to despike their code. Just, oh my god.
There is a general despiking routine in ccdproc, by the way.
No.
Well, Stephen.
Well, I mean, these XRT images are like unusably bad, but
Yeah.
Stephen, you've managed to make the Proba 2 data look better than the AIA 171. Which you'll probably get an award from the Belgians for that.
I'm going to pass this on to my colleagues, and everyone's going to go bananas. They're going to love it. So everybody use SunPy now, instantly.
You're going to be big in Belgium.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know why that is, I think. It's because they use a different kind of sensor. So displaying it in linear is much nicer than, they use APS sensors versus CCDs.
Is just following, I think this was, I just sort of quickly glanced at this, and maybe it was in the conversation, was, are you opposed to changing the gammas on this? I mean, even it's not clipping or masking or taking away the data, but the gammas or logging it even. I think there's still a case to be made for you can plot it in a different way so long as all of the data is represented.
Well, right. I mean,
Yeah. So
And it's documented or it's clear that that's what's been done to it somewhere in that routine.
So I actually sort of unilaterally decided to get rid of gamma completely, because really, can anybody explain what gamma does?
what?
Um,
Essentially, have a gamma here in your power law index. Not the same
That's
type
right,
of
but it's
gamma.
built into the normalization. So there's an additional knob, a gamma knob that you can do, which is not part of norm of the normalization. And so I didn't want. First of all, like it seemed like nobody was using gamma anyway. And then second of all, I already have this knob, which is the power law value. And so why not just use that and get rid of normalization? In the matplotlib world, I'm not completely clear when gamma gets applied to the normalization or to the data. Yeah, so I figured if I can achieve the same thing by not using gamma, which I pretty much could, by choosing the right power law index, then I would get rid of gamma. You know, the kind of the KISS principle. Keep it simple.
Well, I would say, in defense of gamma, I would point out that usually the purpose of gamma arguments are to take into account different display characteristics. You know, someone might be working on a system and a monitor that's characteristically dark or characteristically bright.
Yeah, and they can change the gamma of their display. They do not need to do it inside of.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Well, they can still do it. They can still access that. I mean, when they do IM show, they can change it. You know, they can set it as their own matplotlib value. You know, as their own thing. There's no reason for us to provide it and tweak it. You know, it's for them. It's a matplotlib thing. They can mess with it.
Right. But Steve, the point of peak here, okay, is to represent. Or your idea is to represent all of the data in a way that the user can instantly visually appreciate, right? Okay, so the point is it doesn't necessarily have to be linear or whatever to do that. It's just looking at some of the plots. Just looking by eye, it can be hard to actually appreciate what all of the data is still. So whether it's gamma or something else, making the images look maybe a little prettier, although pretty isn't the point, it's so that I can actually see a little bit of detail by eye. But again, I still agree with you that if all the data should be represented. But maybe changing the gamma would be a way that you could have all the data there, but be able to see a little bit more detail in either the darker patches or the brighter patches of the image.
Yeah, I mean, what you're arguing for is really for me to change the power law values, which is
potentially if that does the job.
Yeah, and I think it does. So I can.
I'm not so confident, but unfortunately, Matplotlib doesn't offer many more possible normalizers.
Right.
Remember, there's all of the the new AstroPy normalizers. I've pointed this out a few times.
Did I look at those? Hang on.
The AstroPy.visualization module that's shipped in 1.0.
Let me check whether I checked that.
Module has no attribute iris map. What have you done?
You called it SJI map.
Yeah, it's an SGI map.
And all the things. But it's an iris SJI map. Just calling it SJI map is also misleading.
Same thing with AIA map, right? It's really an SDO AIA map.
That's right. I was just following the convention of all the other maps.
Yes, but AIA is at least an instrument, whereas SJI just stands for slit jaw imager.
Right.
Well, that's slightly philosophical, whether it's as an instrument.
It is.
It is, but it's not. It's a general name rather than something specific. Anyway.
Well, as opposed to X-ray telescope. I mean, you know.
Well, true. Can't really argue with that, I suppose.
Well, the main thing is the convention that the community would understand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's fine.
people don't go around think, oh, I have this SGI image. They do say iris image, though.
But he is right in that there are two different types of iris image, right? There are the ones that are the spectrograph.
Right. Yeah, I looked at this page that you sent me, the data visualization, and to be honest, I could not figure out exactly what it aims to do.
It provides a different set of normalizers. But
I guess I hadn't looked at this, Stuart. Some of this looks really interesting. I'm gonna give
it
this
provides a
try.
different set of normalizers that can be converted to matplotlib normalizers. They don't have to be matplotlib normalizers. You can actually apply them directly to the data if you want to, but they can also return matplotlib normalizers.
I see. Okay.
Can you send me the link to these normalizers?
Yeah, it goes through stretchers basically. Let's see.
Here's the documentation.
Perfect.
Steve, if I fix all your Sphinx errors, will you buy me a beer? I've already fixed the need to do it manually.
Oh, great.
So I think I'm down to 5 errors now.
Oh, awesome. We're just going to do a PR on my error then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Well, so what the main thing is to answer is whether we want to spend more time on this, get into 0.6, or whether we want to beg off. You know, I kind of feel like, well, I'm of course very prejudiced and biased in this case, but I feel like we are close enough. If we beggar off to 0.7, then we're just going to go through these conversations all over again in like 6 months, because we'll all have forgotten that we've had these conversations, and everyone will have switched what they think to the opposite. So I kind of feel like we're very close. And,
Is this the last thing? This is the last thing to get into 0.6.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, like I said before, the light curve thing, I don't think we need to put that in. 0.6, I don't have the time to fix it.
So if everyone takes a look at it this week and provides their input, then
yeah, I think the biggest issue
that.
will be if we want to keep arguing about what the images look like. I mean, that could take forever. So what I would suggest is, if you have strong feelings about how you want things to look, then for your opinion to be considered, you need to provide an actual alternative. You cannot just say, this does not look good.
Can and I will.
Oh, that's no fun.
And that will actually incentivize people to download the code and actually run it and use it, which will be good too.
I will prove this idiot wrong.
So, you know, I have no horse in the race or whatever. I mean, this is just, if you want to make them look different, that's fine. But my main contention is I just wanted all the data to be shown. No clipping. That's what I wanted to solve. And then making them look as nice as possible, well, I did my best. I'm sure it could be done better. And remember, we can also change these. You know, we can release 0.6 with, you know, not the best versions, and then 6.0.61 we come up with some better versions. 061 changelog improvement to the color tables normalizations.
Yeah, I'm happy to tweak parameters in point releases. I wouldn't want to introduce fundamental change in point.
Okay, so why don't we just keep these? I don't know, Stephen. Maybe you had a lot of carrots when you were younger or something. But maybe keep these values the way they are, and then just have a look through the code. Right.
Wait, sorry, you cut off for. I didn't hear everything you said. Could you repeat that, please?
Keep everything. Your suggestion of like, unless you've got like a better value, then just keep it the way it is, and then change it on a point release. But like, the more important thing is to make sure that the code actually works.
Right. Yep.
And the documentation is up to snuff.
Right.
That is, of course, the other thing we need to do before 0.6. Is we need a documentation pass.
Yeah, so maybe, but getting this, the last piece of coding would be a really good, that would, we can move on from there, right?
Yeah. So do you want actually? Maybe we should just announce a freeze. Just so everyone's clear.
Yes. So where is this pull request? Okay, I think the consensus seems to be that we're putting that into 0.6. So we'll milestone that 0.6, and then when that is merged, that is it. Bug fixes only.
Sounds fair enough.
Sounds good to me.
Might actually happen then.
Okay, so I'll work on the documentation, adding more stuff to the documentation here.
Don't do anything with that in the next 10 minutes because I'm fixing it and it will conflict, and then you'll have to fix it.
Yep.
I think I fixed it now. I may have spoken slightly too early because I'm only 80% of the way through building it, but I think I've done.
Okay. One other thing I want to tell everybody here is I'm working on iris data and updating our support for iris data.
What specifically?
Well, I'm fixing the SGI maps. We're really only working for level 1 data, but nobody should use level 1 data, especially not with SunPy. Level 2 data, you're supposed to use the SGI to cube procedure, which is an instrumentation. And that was not actually calling SGI map. So what I do is I fix it so that it actually runs the SGI map provides the right headers and stuff, and then does the fixes for things that are not in the primary header, they're hiding in the other headers. Updates the times properly. That's where I am right now, and what I'm moving on to now is creating an iris observation object, which, if you know how iris works, you really want to work with everything together, the raster images, the raster data, and the SGI data at the same time. So I'm basically building... I'm sorry?
Do you mean like X files? Do you mean like X files? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm starting to build an object to do that kind of thing. A little bit of a play object to see where this will go. But it's a worthwhile exercise, I think.
I think it'd be great if we could have something like X files for Python. Because, as you say, it's important to use it all together. Right. Were we talking in Leiden about using Ginga for that, Stuart? Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, that would be good. There is ongoing work to make Ginga be a better data explorer, a bit more like CrispX.
Yeah. I had thought that you guys were going to start sort of more on the data side of things, but so
Well, we kind of stepped away from doing that because of the work going on with cubes. And we didn't. We could. Otherwise, the whole project would have turned into cubes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to.
Because the level 2 iris raster data really needs cubes to work properly.
Yeah, multi-dimensional cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want to let people know that so people know that somebody's working on this, and if you want to work together, that would be great. If you don't,
Yeah, I'd be interested in helping out, but not the next few weeks, but next month, I'd definitely get into that.
okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we weren't like doing the same thing.
Okay, good, yeah.
No need to waste effort. So, is the plan then to have a sprint at some point? I think we're about due for one. Whatever happened to our idea of having sprints once a month?
Did that idea leave your head at any point? I don't remember that.
Yeah, the last sprint I was like, oh, we should have these regularly.
Really?
Yes.
No, I remember that.
It was discussed,
You are.
or it was mentioned.
Regular doesn't mean frequent.
I think the memory has left your head.
That's but what?
What were we talking about?
Well, when do you propose having another one then?
Well, if it's for 0.6, then I guess next week? I mean, what's the timeline we're thinking about for this?
Yeah, not this week. Next week.
Next week would be good for me.
Friday week.
Should we create a branch and so people, if they have some time, can just start putting stuff up there?
That's a good idea. Docs only.
Yeah, docs only branch.
Could do. Why not just go to master?
I don't know. Seems easier to see in one place what other people are working on.
Well, just open PRs, no? Because, I mean, you're still going to have, if we have a branch on the central repo, we're still going to be PRing to that branch anyway.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's fine by me.
Sphinx, you're so slow.
Right, so we just start then? Start writing docs?
Yeah, start writing docs. And it's broken.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. Not what I can think of.
Okay. Everyone work on docs. Everyone look at this PR. Everyone work on docs. Sounds good.
In that order.
I'll put a post up about this. I've just been playing with the SunPy visualizations and the normalizations. Sorry. Arc hyperbolic sine looks nice. That's the kind of curve shape that I wanted in the first place. Anyway, I'll put it up. I'll put up some examples.
Okay.
Debate this. Anyway, okay. If there's nothing else, let's wrap up.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Catch you later.
See you later, guys.